Hi, my name is Rizky from Acreativealt, and a couple of years back, I recorded a video on a couple of wrong reasons of starting a business. That video was a reflection of what I've experienced so far back then. Now, I've been running my business for about 6 years, and of course, there are a lot of other things that I've learned throughout the years. I decided to record this video just to give a couple of tips to those who are starting a business this year, and at the same time, looking back at my own milestones. So I've been running my own business called Acreativealt for about 6 years now. We are a B2B company who provide multimedia production services for corporate companies, and we've been very fortunate to have completed more than 500 projects to date. And I really appreciate all the opportunities that the clients have given us so far. Here are 5 things that I've learned throughout my years of experience in running my own business. The first thing is that you will have many bosses. And yes, many of us actually started a business because the fact that you want to be your own boss. But on the other hand, when you are running your own business, you will have many bosses. Your customers, especially when you're doing a service-based business like what I do. Secondly, you will need to learn all the aspects of your particular business, and that includes something that you don't actually enjoy. Many of us started a business because the fact that we are an expert in something and we want to turn our expertise into a business. I started my career as a 3D designer many years back. I became an events designer, art director, and events photographer. Thought my path is always particular creative tractions. But when I started my own business, I realized that there are other things that I need to learn beside the technical and creative aspects of things. I did learn accounting. I did learn a little bit of law, and importantly, I did learn sales. Next, you will get slapped in the face many times. Well, of course, metaphorically. Mike Tyson said that you have a plan until you get punched in the face, and that is exactly what's going to happen when you actually run your own business. Whenever I meet people who are actually running their own businesses, none of them has a smooth sailing journey. I've met many who've been bankrupt before. I met many who have been bankrupt before. They managed to rise back. I do believe one of the traits of entrepreneurs that is really of a necessity is that of a grit. You will get slapped many times throughout the journey, and whenever that happens, the only thing that you need to think about is how to rise back. I almost gotten bankrupt before. There was one period of time when I was still doing a subcontracting from different agencies, and I got owed thousands of dollars by different companies. The total amount is actually more than 6 figures. Many of them took more than a year just to get my payment to be settled. At the same time, my overhead still running. I had 2 full-time staffs back then, so I need to keep paying their salaries. I need to pay all their office expenses. So there was one period of time whereby I was down to my last $200, had thousands of dollars in credit card debts. Thankfully, that was a period that I managed to overcome. I learned a lot from that experience. It actually forced me to pivot to a different business model, which thankfully that works really well. There will always be good period and bad period. One of the typical mistakes that many people who actually run a business make, of course including myself, is that you budget on your biggest revenue. For example, in my case, typically first quarter is always the slowest, while the last quarter is always be the busiest. I calculate my last quarter income as a norm. There's one period of time whereby I actually hired more people, invested more things like our camera gears, only to realize that the next month is actually a bad month for us, and I could barely cover my expenses. Lastly, and I think this is really important, and I hope this is pretty encouraging for all of you who are thinking of setting up a business. I think setting up a business actually builds confidence. This is what I meant when I was working in a really large company in the past. I was really worried that I may get fired. But when I started my own business, because I do have many ups and downs, I'm not worried that the business may fail. If it does fail, I can definitely start a new one. So it kind of builds my confidence. So it kind of also built my willingness to try new things. I think this is something that you should experience at least once in your life. I think entrepreneurship journey is really important for our own career development. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time.